Welcome to Warhammer 40k lore in the Bible, where I pull from Warhammer 40k lore to help explain biblical lore. And today we're going over Chaos Corruption. I also do a short format of these with a more cinematic narrative experience, and I also react to Warhammer 40k lore with some biblical context and, similar stuff, right? And this one's going to be a very interesting one, because we're going to see how darkness comes over these people in the Bible and also in Warhammer 40k, with the warp and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. Now, what I do, the format is we do the Warhammer 40k lore first, so you guys can get the picture of what's going on. Then we get into the biblical side of things. And then at the end, we round back to Warhammer 40k. So this is kind of be a short version of the Warhammer 40k stuff, because there wasn't, a whole wiki or anything on it. So, but I did compile it with some good resources anyways. So, but if it is wrong, let me know in the comments. Anyways, Chaos Corruption acts as a spiritual and physical rot that typically exploits a person's existing emotional and moral chinks in their armor. It often begins subtly through the influence of the warp, where intense emotions like pride, desperation, or hunger for knowledge attract the attention of the dark gods. This process is frequently compared to spiritual radiation, where proximity to chaos artifacts, warp-tainted areas, or even forbidden knowledge can slowly erode an individual's sanity and soul. As the corruption takes root, it twists the victim's perceptions, often leading them to believe their descent into heresy is a righteous path, until physical manifestations and mutations begin to sprout. Beyond environmental exposure, corruption is often a psychological slippery slope, fueled by specific nature of the four chaos gods. For instance, a soldier's righteous anger can be slowly amplified by Khorne until it becomes mindless bloodlust, while a dying person's plea for survival might be answered by Nurgle with a horrific gift of eternal painless decay. These gods do not require conscious worship to exert their influence. They feed directly on the raw emotion output of sentient beings. In many cases, individuals don't even realize they are falling until they have committed unspeakable acts that blind their souls inextricably to the warp. Once the process reaches its later stages, the corruption becomes visible through mutations and a total loss of individual agency. Victims may grow extra limbs, scales, or wings, and their armor and weapons can eventually fuse with their flesh to become biological extensions of their body. This is where you see like the Chaos Space Marines, right? They have their armor pretty much fused with them, a lot of them. Unless they're, Chaos Prince, but anyways, or Demon Prince. Okay. Flesh to become biological extension of their body. Mentally, they suffer from auditory hallucinations and a complete breakdown of rational thought, eventually becoming little more than puppets for demonic entities or the gods themselves. The final result is usually a total erasure of self, culminating in the victim's transformation into a mindless chaos spawn, their consumption by the warp, or, in rare and exceptionally powerful cases, ascension to demonhood. Alright, we're going to get into the biblical side here, but we'll get into, or you know what, why not? So, the Inquisition and the Grey Knights serve as the Imperium's primary defense against chaos, employing extreme measures of detection and purging that are often as terrifying as the corruption they fight. Psychic scrutiny. Most inquisitors, particularly of those of the Order Malleus, are powerful psychers who can smell the spiritual stench of the warp, and they use their abilities to scan the auras of suspects, looking for dark ripples left by chaos influence before physical mutation even appears. The Emperor's Tarot. Inquisitors often consult these psycho-reactive cards to interpret the Emperor's will, and detect burgeoning threats across the entire subsectors. Inquisitorial networks, organizations like the Ordo Hereticus, maintain vast webs of spies and informants on every hive roll to report untoward behavior, such as illegal cult gatherings or sudden, unexplained prosperity. Witch trial ordeals. Suspects may be subjected to brutal tests, such as being forced to recite prayers, while others doused in holy water or enduring agonized physical trials, where survival is sometimes taken as a sign of demonic protection. Now we're going to get into the biblical side of things here. And we're going to see that this deep is a entity, okay? And I'll show you. So Genesis 1:2. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. So here comes this darkness, right? And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Let's go here real quick. And we just went over this in my Alpha Legion React I just did. But I'll bring it up again here. Ezekiel 31:4. The waters made him great. This is talking about that Assyrian character, the destroyer. The deep set him up on high with her rivers. There it is. The deep. And we see that it's a her. Her rivers running around his plants and sent out her little rivers into all the trees of the field. Now, let's take it even further. This is the goddess Hela. Half her face is darkened. When you see her depicted, half her face is darkened. So let's take a look at this one. Take a look at this one. Half her face is darkened. Isn't it interesting? Right here. Half her face is darkened. And right here. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. Something is taking a hold of her and mutating her. Right? Okay. Now, where does this come from? Job 10:22. A land of darkness as dark. Oh, I'm sorry. Verse 21 will start. Before I go whence shall I not I shall not return, even to the land of darkness and the shadow of death. Now, this shadow of death is very interesting. We got the land of darkness, but this shadow of death. Is this the darkness that has taken over her, right? So a land of darkness is darkness itself, and the shadow of death without any order or the light is as darkness. Sounds a whole lot like the warp, doesn't it? Or you can think of it as the upside down in Stranger Things, right? All right, we're not done yet. Psalm 44:19. Thou hast so broken us in a place of dragons and covered us with the shadow of death. Very interesting. Now, this is, in my opinion, the false prophet that we see in Revelation. So Zechariah 11:17. Woe to the idle shepherd that leaveth the flock. The sword shall be upon his arm, which means it's drying up and mutating almost, or just dying basically, right? And upon his right eye. His arm shall be clean dried up, and his right eye shall be utterly darkened. Something's going on here. And it's like this darkness is taking over these people, right? Now, is this what is going on with like the mark of the beast and Nimrod? So check this out. So Genesis 10:8. So we know Nimrod, he was a human when he was born, right? Right here. By their isles of Gentiles dividing their lands, every one in his tongue, after their families and their nations, and the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan, and the sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Sapta, Ramah, Sapteca, and the sons of Ramah, Sheba, Dedan, and Cush begat Nimrod. Now pay attention to this part here. It says, he began to be a mighty one on the earth. What is this word for mighty? It's the same words that are used for the giants a lot. Right? So Gibborim, or Gibbor, strong, mighty, and meaning powerful warrior or tyrant. Well, we see in Genesis 6, real quick, check this out. This is genetic manipulation, right? Okay, Genesis 6. So, let's see where it says the giants, verse 4. There were giants, Nephil, right? Giants, name of two peoples, one before the flood and one after the flood. Nephilim, giants, two peoples. But this is what it means. Nephil, a giant, properly a feller or bully or tyrant. Giant. Right? And we see a lot of times that these Gibborim are the giants. So something happened with Nimrod to where he took, either the mark of the beast or something was going on. Calls him a mighty man, one, strong man, intensive, same as Geber, powerful, by implication, warrior, tyrant, champion, chief, giant. Very interesting. So in my opinion, it's saying he began to be a giant. So there's genetic manipulation is happening within this guy. He took on something, right? And he was a mighty hunter before, which means I believe this is against the Lord. Wherefore it said, even Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And we know that he wanted to go up into heaven, overthrow God, right? And take out, they had different things. They would go, this group would take on the angels, this group would go storm the throne room, and vice versa, right? I believe we get that. I think it's in like Jasher and Jubilees and stuff like that. But anyways, it's very interesting. Now, this is the book of Adam and Eve, okay? So take this with a grain of salt. It is not scripture, okay? But it's very interesting at what happens to Satan here. And also, the earliest prophecy of the coming of Christ, as you can see that there. Very interesting. But I'll start with this. Chapter 13, verse 2. O Adam, so as long as the good angel was obedient to me, a bright light rested on him and on his hosts. But when he transgressed my commandment, I deprived him of that bright nature, and he became dark. And when he was in heavens, in the realms of light, he knew nothing of darkness. But he transgressed, so he probably took on this darkness, right? But he transgressed, and I made him fall from heaven unto the earth. And it was this darkness that came over him. So this sounds a lot like the warp corruption, doesn't it? Because we see here, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. So this darkness is taken over them, right? And who knows, maybe Satan was okay before. No, because it does say he was a liar from the beginning. But very interesting, right? So I don't know if this is true, but it goes along with everything. But check this out, because now God is saying he had to take on this darkness, okay? So this is chapter 14. Then Adam said to God, O Lord, you take you my soul and let me not see this gloom anymore, or remove me to some place where there is no darkness. But God the Lord said to Adam, indeed I say to you, this darkness will pass from you. Every day I determined for you until the fulfillment of my covenant, when I will save you and bring you back again into the garden, into the house of light you long for, in which there is no darkness. I will bring you to it in the kingdom of heaven. And again said God to Adam, all this misery that you have been made to take on yourself because of your transgression will not free you from the hand of Satan. It will not save you. But I will, when I shall come down from heaven and shall become the flesh of your descendants and take on myself the infirmity of which you suffer. Then the darkness that covered you in this cave shall cover me in the grave, when I am the flesh of your descendants. And I, whom without years, shall be subject to the reckoning of years, of times, months, and days, and I shall be reckoned as one of the sons of men, in order to save you. And then God ceased to commune with Adam. Very interesting. It says he had to take on this darkness. So here's something to think about. It says, for the wages of sin is death, right? Well, why is that? Well, it's because we probably have tainted blood, right? Is there some of those darkness rolling in our blood, right? So when we sin, we take on a little bit of that darkness per se, right? And that blood has to come out. What happens when our blood comes out? We die. So we got to replace it with something, right? Well, the blood of Jesus. That's why you replace it with his blood, right? That's why he died and defeated death, right? There's another thing here too. So real quick, I want to bring this up. Is death this darkness, right? So, and the sea gave up the dead which were in it. Revelation 20, 13 and 14. And death and dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in it. So it's death and hell. Very interesting. And they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. So is that God finally destroying darkness once and for all? Now, we're going to talk about this black goo stuff here. This stuff is very interesting. So black goo stuff. So there is an entity that appears in our favorite science fiction movies, or science fiction, fantasy, and horror stories. A living substance that elicits both disgust and excitement in the human imagination. It's related to the bed, black barf, and black blood TV tropes. But while those examples are relatively inert and formless, black goo refers to a class of protean, intelligent beings who can be extraordinarily hard and strong when they want to be. Black goo will attack you like an obscurial or consume you like a symbiote. Oops. I need to get a new mouse, guys. Sorry about that. The goo appears in films like Under the Skin, where a pitch black alien wearing a Scarlett Johansson suit lures men to her house, where they sink naked into her black goo floor. Johansson also plays the black goo in Lucy, where a drug causes her character's pure, unrestricted consciousness to become wormhole-like. Black lava eyes that reach across vast spans of cosmic time. Very interesting. Through the goo, she can stop and rewind entire cities. Through the goo, she can mind travel back to the past, to the future, where her fingers always touch her primate ancestors. In the end, Lucy becomes a memory stick, and I am reminded of the inky, transtemporal logograms secreted by aliens in Arrival. This has all happened before. Okay, so we see all that. Look at that. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. Why does this stuff keep showing up? We have this. Is it future or past? Let's appreciate the black goo in context of its many sources. Psychologically, it may represent repressed fear or humiliation. In Satoshi Kon's masterwork, Paranoia Agent, black goo is a shape-shifting tulpa. Check this out real quick. So this is in 1st Enoch. check this out. So 1 Enoch chapter 19, and I'll bring scripture to corroborate that. So, and Uriel said to me, here shall stand the angels who have connected themselves with women. So this is Genesis 6 here, right? And their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind, and shall lead them astray to sacrificing to demons as gods. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So let me bring up this one. We have Satan, right? Transforming himself into an angel of light. Okay. 2 Corinthians 11:14. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing that his ministers also be transformed as ministers of righteousness. Something to take in, Christians, here, by the way, okay? Whose end shall be according to their works. And I say again, let no man think me a fool, if otherwise yet as a fool receive me, that I may boast myself a little. That which I speak it not after the Lord, but as it were foolishly, in his confidence of boasting. So, anyways, I probably didn't need to read that part there. But they can transform. Okay. So now we got that. Did I read that? Yes, I did. Okay. Now let's get into this dark matter real quick. Okay. So in astronomy and cosmology, dark matter is an invisible, hypothetical form of matter that does not interact with light or other electromagnetic radiation. Dark matter is implied by gravitational effects that cannot be explained by general relativity unless more matter is present than can be observed. Such effects occur in the context of formation and evolution of galaxies, gravitational lensing, and observable universes' current structure, mass position and galactic collisions, the motion of galaxies within galaxy clusters, and cosmic microwave background anisotropies. Dark matter is thought to serve as a gravitational scaffolding for cosmic structures. After the Big Bang, dark matter clumped into blobs along narrow filaments with superclusters of galaxies, forming a cosmic web at scales on which the entire galaxy appear like tiny particles. Very interesting there. So we have could have this dark matter. Is this stuff, right? You know, where it says, where is it? Shadow of death, right? Shadow of death. And then we have here, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. Very interesting. All right. Now let's check this out here. This black mysterious substance is called black goo. We do not have much information about it, but as far as I know, it has been mined from deep underground in complete secrecy. However, you know how the elites love to put their truth in this. I don't know if this is true or not, guys. This could be AI here or whatever, you know. This was in 2022, so very interesting. So they always depict this stuff, which is weird, right? But yeah, and then you got Venom, the symbiote, and all that, right? So, and it takes over him. Very, very interesting. Now, we'll bring this up here, and then we'll move on to the Warhammer 40k. So, Revelation 14:9 and 11. And the third angel followed him, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in his image, and receive his mark on his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, in the presence of the Lamb. So why is it we take this mark? We're automatically thrown out of the book of life, and we're thrown with them. And is this what Nimrod took, right? Oh, did I do the wrong one? Oh my goodness. I did. Is this what Nimrod took? Right? I believe the mark of the beast is a lot older than we think it is. Right? And it's the same stuff, probably the same. It's the serpentine, this dark serpentine bloodline type stuff, right? And it's weird that we see all this black goo stuff, right? It's weird. I mean, got this, Tom Hardy's Venom. I mean, it comes like, look at this. Is this Lost? Yeah, black smoke monster capturing someone and pulling them into the forest and Lost. Yeah. It's crazy, man. Crazy. Something to think about, guys. Something to think about. All right, let's get back into the Warhammer 40k lore. It's not going to take much longer. All right. Purging and prevention. Exterminatus. When a world's population is deemed too far gone to be saved, the Inquisition invokes Exterminatus, the total destruction of all life on the planet via virus bombs, cyclonic torpedoes, or atmospheric incineration. The Grey Knight's secret. The Grey Knights are so secretive that historically, anyone who witnessed them in battle, even loyal Imperial guardsmen, was executed or mind wiped to prevent even the knowledge of their existence from spreading chaos. Spiritual warding. Grey Knights utilize the Aegis, a collective psychic field that makes them effectively immune to corruption. Their armor and even their bones are inscribed with anti-demonic wards to repel the warp's touch. Sanctified weaponry. Factions like Sisters of Battle and the Grey Knights use weapons blessed with holy oils and psychic energy, designed to specifically to cauterize the link between a demon and real space. Okay. But anyways, so we're going to wind it down here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. If you liked it, thank you. If you didn't like it, thank you for at least giving me a chance. If you're looking for a jitterless energy drink, please check out Dubby. These guys here. They have Crunchyroll licensed flavors. If you want to check those out as well. The one there, what is it called? Odo's Restore Potion. Always want to call it Liquid Skittles, but because it tastes like liquid Skittles. My favorite is the s'mores and stuff like that. So, anyways, if that's what you're looking for, check out the link in the description. And every time you use that link, you'll be helping out the channel. But anyways, guys, you have a wonderful day.